Google wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another crazy day in what's a crazy market. It's going to be a full house today, which is going to be great. Once Kenny is done cheating on us over there, we're going to have Kenny, we're going to have Mitch. We're going to have probably Steve if he's feeling better, and I know he's a little under the weather. And we're going to have my boy Kenny coming by for a few minutes right off the open. So it's going to be a full house. It's going to be super interesting to see. While we wait for them, let's just take a look at what's going on here in the overall market. Right, start here with the SPY. Gapping down a little bit today. Nothing crazy. What's interesting is we talked about this AVWAP and this candle yesterday. And that was something that I'm super focused on because that's the AVWAP from the CPI print kind of reversal, right? You remember last week we had, bad CPI print that kind of tanked us. And then we popped up, just rallied from that, just ripped the entire day, caught a lot of bears offside. So I just anchored a VWAP there and said, let me know when we're back there. Was talking about that yesterday, but yesterday was a really do nothing day. And now we're back down to that zone. So, looking on the daily chart, these candles, these are a little bit more normal candles. This is what kind of the market should look like, where, you're gapping up and then you're chopping around midday. Right. We got to remember, for people who are new, this is the abnormal price action, right? This is more normal price action. And this is stuff that you generally don't see very often at all. So yeah, we're pulling back into that AVWAP right here. And if you look at the kind of pre-market, just chopping around. So looking at the economic calendar, Tuesday, real quick, not a whole lot, right? We have crude oil. That's it, right? The rest of these are kind of one-star events. So nothing really matters there. But we got the big guys. So we got Fed press conference, Fed rate decision tomorrow. Last I checked, I could be wrong. Chat can always correct me if I'm wrong. It was like a 97% chance they do absolutely nothing. So probably not going to do anything. So I think it's another one of those where the press conference means everything. What does he say in the press conference? What's being talked about in the press conference? So sometimes, and quite often, I'd say what happens is the day before FOMC, you end up getting a lot of choppy ranges on the market just because people are waiting, right? Again, if you're a large institution, a hedge fund, something like that, are you going to take a big bet today, or are you just going to take a big bet tomorrow afternoon? It's only us day traders and swing traders who feel like we need to be here all the time doing crazy stuff like this. So the rest of them, they're saying, okay, guys, everyone, do your research, try to guess what he's going to have, what he's going to do tomorrow. And then we'll just wait. We'll wait for that to happen, and then we'll pop in and we'll take a trade if that occurs. So while I see I had a little beep here, so let's just do this one. Let's bring in our boy Steve. How's it going, man?
Hey, good morning. Doing okay. A little sick, but glad to be here.
Oh yeah, I was saying in the pre-market there that, or in the beginning of the show, that I didn't know if you were going to come. So appreciate it. I missed you last week. I was in the Big Apple doing Big Apple stuff. So, what are you thinking? What are you thinking about this market pulling back to this major AVWAP?
Well, I think that it was just about time. We had 9 days in a row green, so I think probably we were stretching it a little on the bull side. I think a pullback's pretty healthy. I'm trying not to I'm trying to take a page from the Michael Noss playbook and not read too much into this in terms of my own personal bias,
Good.
and just trade what we see. But I was noticing you talking about the anchored VWAP from the lows, and I think that's a very relevant point to watch. So that's what I'm looking for.
All right. So I heard another little beep. So I said it would be a full house, and we got Mitch coming when we got Mitch coming back eventually. But before I bring on our next guest, I can see him there, so I want to see his reaction. Kenny. I found it, Kenny. So when we're talking, I'm going to be wearing this. So for those who don't know, I'll intro Kenny before he comes on. I consider Kenny a friend, good friend. Been watching his YouTube for 20 years, maybe at this point. OG trading YouTuber, the Warlock, as he's sometimes called, the VWAP master, and the guy I got the strategy from that I was able to pass this trade the pool account with. So again, does the same thing, has been doing the same thing for an absolute millennia. So I'm going to bring him on and just kind of talk about what he's looking for today, what the different names are. Quite often, a lot of the names that I grab, I'm grabbing from him as well. So without further ado, I think if I click this button, you're right there. What is up, buddy? Hey, how's it going, man? Long time no see.
Oh, what's going on, man? I was like, oh my God, where's my hat? There you go. We might have the last two hats. These hats also are outlawed in 47 states. So
yeah, mine's getting a little gnarly there. Right, why don't you tell just so people don't know? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, I saw you like 2 days ago in New York. You gave me nothing. You gave me no merch. Nothing.
I had no swag for you.
Why don't you tell the story of the hat before we start talking markets, just quickly?
Oh my God, the hat! Yeah, well, that was my original website, and it was kind of just a joke because I was like the George Costanza of trading. So I had a good run, just getting started, early 90s, late 90s, because everybody was making money. You just had to bang your head on the keyboard to hit buy, and then kind of went to my head. So when I started just trading so poorly, and then I was an AOL chat room guy. So that was, one of the first times I was like, hey, why don't we all just hang out in the chat room and throw some ideas, around. And then, when I started trading so poorly, I was like, man, people should witness how bad I am at this. And I was like, I think I can make some money. I was like, you know what, if you just fade me and just, can you do me a favor and throw me some money that I'll help you make? And it was just, and I just was trying to think of a funny name. And, I forgot originally where it came from, but obviously, the sexual connotation there. But it was just me. It's like basically ripping myself. And years later, it was about 2 years later, where the NASDAQ was none too pleased that I used their name in my funny website. So, and the funny thing, I used the stage name at the time, so they couldn't find me. I had it registered under a fake name under my parents' old address, and man, were they upset when they met me. And next thing you know, I'm on a conference call with like 8 different lawyers. I'm like, really, guys? I was like, you could have the website. It doesn't do anything. It's just me making fun of myself here. And then Hit the Bid was born that day.
Which, again, it's just for a trading name. It's just a dope name. And Jefferson Crawl, probably 10 years. I didn't know that was a stage name.
Did
that was your
say
real name.
Kenny Glick?
Yeah, people didn't know my real name for a while either. I just kept running with it, because it was like almost an embarrassment. I was so down on myself that I didn't want people to know my real name. So and then I resurrected my career, and here we are. And that's where you just briefly said it, VWAP, and I've been doing the same thing now. It's got to be almost 13 years. I've been doing this. I've been in the business for 30, but really things have completely switched since trading VWAP and trading VWAP exclusively.
Yeah, and well, like I mentioned, a lot of these people, they've watched live as I've kind of come on here, where I am notoriously just an awful day trader. So as the quant, as the systems guys, we've been chatting back and forth for a couple months since we hung out at JC's thing, and yeah, I was able to not only pass the prop account, but start to systemize and start to auto trade the system we built with Kenny. So I see you shared your charts. You want to bring those up and go through a little bit of what you're looking at?
Yeah, sure. We could get right into it. Again, I'm a little upset about what I'm seeing so far, because I came in today. They were talking about how everybody says you can't time the market, and it's kind of hard, but I love it when my gut and my sentiment goes along with the market, and I use VWAP basically to confirm or deny what I'm feeling. And that's how I've saved myself, because I'm a bearish guy. And one of the first lessons I learned is stocks don't like to stay down when they're breaking over VWAP. Oh, okay. And then maybe I should cover and go long. Maybe you should. And that was kind of the eye-opening moment. So yesterday, I've been super, super bullish this market since, and what you're looking at right now is, this is a 10-day chart. Normally I'm looking at 1 minute and 1 day. But I'm just giving you an example of, kind of how I get an overall sentiment that sets me, into my mood for the day. And again, my mood is one thing, but what the market's doing is how I trade. But this idea that, this is last Wednesday where we had the GDP number, and bull markets don't care about economic data. And oh boy, did we not care about economic data. So that was your faux show, bro. That was last Wednesday. And I was going to call you. I was like, oh man, I hope this algo is buying the cues right now. Because again, my favorite trade is when the stocks break a new low, come right back, then break the VWAP. That is the fake out, shake out, breakout. And that's the reason I love this trade so much. And this is what me and Nos we're putting together on the algo. The trade's been working since I started trading. We used to call it the dip and rip. Again, I've been calling it the faux show, bro. Me and one of the traders next to me, this is going back in 97, 98, fake out, shake out, breakout. Now, using the VWAP, normally I would be buying at 930 candle highs. And again, you didn't have that much pre-market back in the 90s. You really had nothing at one point. Then you had 9 to 930. Then they gave us 830. And that was it. At 830, the market came alive. But now it's obviously 24 hours. Nothing's changed except that the trade's gotten better. So now the fake out, shake out, if it's under the VWAP, you're buying the VWAP break and not even waiting for the 930 candle break. So I'm getting a head start on a trade that has been working for 30 years now. And it's just confirming my trade that I knew worked for all this time. And also it's a very limited risk trade, because when you're putting on the long trade here, those two candle low areas, that's your out. And in this case, this is a great example. If prior day VWAP is nearby also, you use that as a stop. Because if you're breaking today's VWAP and prior day, you better admit you're wrong. And that's, again, why I love VWAP. It's telling you, you're wrong. Do something about it. Because, it's okay to be wrong. You just don't stay wrong. That's how you trade. And this, just with two lines on your chart, it's really giving you the whole world. And it's whether or not you want to accept that you're wrong. And that's kind of why most traders fail. You don't want to accept they're wrong. Just like yesterday, I've been super, super bullish. But the signs yesterday, and I'm going to go back to that where we're at today, is that late day selling. Late day selling is bearish. Late day selling, you saw that on Friday, and then you saw yesterday, which was a typical grindy Monday, and then late day selling into the Palantir earnings, negative response to Palantir, completely flips the script from where we were rallying on bad news. Tesla wasn't that great, and we still went up. So here we are, and now my sentiment has completely changed to, super, super bullish to basically slightly bearish to neutral now. So, and now going back to reality, I just wait for confirmation of my new bias. And so far, again, if you are shorting the cues this morning, confirmation is VWAP attempts and fails, attempt and fail. And that's why we're short the cues right now.
So yeah, you mentioned Palantir. So is that on the long list for today? Because I see it's currently under the 1 day VWAPs, under your 2 day VWAP. So are you looking to reverse this?
Right. So normally I'm looking to buy Palantir, no questions asked. But because the sentiment, in my opinion, has just changed overnight, I'm just going to wait, because now you had your faux show, bro, VWAP break. That would have been the trade that we're involved in. So if something's happened that you were planning for, and that's what I was saying, I'm a little upset because a lot of these trades I was planning on doing have already happened. The Q's short working right now. It's all right. It's not anything special, but I want to see Palantir wipe everybody out one more time. So it hasn't tested yesterday's aftermarket lows. So that's where I'm thinking we go to. And then I'm just going to go back to that 10-day chart again. And look at that. The 10-day chart, that's your 10-day VWAP. So that support level that it found yesterday is the 10-day VWAP. So that's super, super important. And the only void under there is this price right there. So I have to wait. I'm going to wait to see if this massive support level on the 10-day gets broke. And then we're going to go test that little capitulation from that Wednesday day where the bull market was confirmed. So right there, this 10 days is giving me the world of information that I need. So again, patience always pays off. And, if a lot of what you thought was going to happen already happened, you just sit back. Again, wonderful part about what we do is we are our own bosses, and we don't have to trade if we don't feel it. And if it's not there, you just sit back. It's just one day.
That's
All
good,
right.
but Mitch, you wanted something?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I've been watching hitthebid.com since I think
Money Mitch.
I would say at least early 2020. So I mean, hey, definitely if you guys haven't been there before, definitely just go over there one time. It'll change your life. I'm telling you.
Thanks.
And the reason why is the energy that you give also, Kenny, and I love it. You've been in this market for years and years and still showing the passion and love for the markets. You love this. It makes you work, right? It tests your skill every single day. That's what the market's going to do to you.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, the key is not staying wrong. We can all be on the right or wrong side of things. The key is just quickly learning what actually works and what doesn't. You've been on VWAP for countless years now. Do you feel any edge has been lost in VWAP? Because it is one of the highest talked about kind of like indicators for the market now. I remember when I first got in 2018, it wasn't as talked about as it is nowadays.
True.
Do you feel any edge has been lost, or is there maybe patterns to like the one that Michael plays, like where it's like a bounce off of the VWAP and then the short? I think it's different than how a lot of traders trade that, which is the VWAP long strategy, right? They see a big bar up, they just look for the VWAP move back down, and they try to go long on that pattern. Do you feel any edge has changed there?
Well, I'll tell you something. It's only getting better. That self-fulfilling prophecy. Put it this way: it's a volume-based product here, right? That we're trading, if you want to call it a product, but more volume, more better. And since COVID, since everybody became a day trader again, and the Reddits and all that stuff, this has. I never thought, and I'm glad you pointed out the passion. I never thought I'd be like this again. I know I used to run to work and loved every day. And then we got in this lull and it was just awful. I never thought we'd be back. And we're so back now.
Yeah.
It's getting better and better. And now that this trade, and again, I feel like I'm like singing the gospel. I'm going town to town. Hello, can I tell you about VWAP? Please let me in your house. So and that's what I feel like the more people that start to appreciate the way we trade, it's working better. And obviously the guys got, Mike's out there programming this stuff. That was kind of the premise 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, man, this whole market's becoming algorithmic and they're definitely trading around VWAP. This is only going to get better. In the last 4 or 5 years, it's definitely gotten better. And I'm so specific with what I do that, my father used to say the same kind of thing. He's like, don't you think the more people you tell, you're going to blow up the whole thing and it's going to become a crowded trade? I'm like, Dad, the only thing different here is that the more crowded it is, it seems to make it work better. So the more people I tell about it, the better. So if anybody wants to, learn more about VWAP, just contact me. I'll talk your ear off. And all the ways we use it. It's very specific. There's 4 varieties. And again, you were pointing out some of them. The big candle up comes back and holds the VWAP. You're a buyer. Yeah. Even my nephew, he's about to graduate high school, and he's a junior, and he started doing some research on the VWAP. And I'm just sitting there at a basketball game, and he's like, "So, Unc, stock breaks VWAP, comes back and tests it, and then starts to rally. I buy the stock and use the VWAP as my stop." Yes. Now you don't have to go to college, son. All right, congratulations.
Hey. Let's just say that could have saved a lot of cash in the school account, the finance way.
Now.
As a lot of stock traders, we all look at school. We're like, well, where do we go learn? Well, I guess finance, right? I guess that's where I'm going to learn stock trading, right?
No, not anymore. You go to hitbiz.com. So
yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm trying to do. That might be my next career move. No joke. I was thinking about, going to some of the high schools in the area and just, saying, hey, listen, I have a curriculum right here. Would you be interested in having me come in like 3 times a week and teaching high school seniors? Something like that.
Kenny Glick at high school, you get to university, you get your tweed jacket on. You're
exactly, yeah.
I don't know if I want you teaching our youth, man.
I'll teach you how to balance a checkbook and trade some VWAP, right? The basics, When we used to have to take typewriter in high school. I'm so old. But yeah, I mean, once you become familiar with this, and it really is just the language of the market, and like all you guys are saying, it's obviously become more popular because it really is a great way to just get an idea of what the overall sentiment for the market is. You're above VWAP and you're holding, you stay bullish. But more importantly, the way that we trade it is it gives us that heads up of whether or not we're right or wrong, and then it's up to you whether or not you want to admit that and join the winning team. For instance, I'll show you another trade that I'm in. HIMS. I think this stock I think it's a scam. Okay, that's just my opinion.
It's euphoria. Let's talk how it is. It's a euphoric stock.
Yeah.
And euphoria can drive stocks for countless. It can do years of driving.
Oh yeah, I think it's one lawsuit away from going to zero. So you don't have to convince me I'm bearish a lot of stocks, most stocks, right? But in this case, right, this stock I was trying to trade in the aftermarket yesterday, just getting chopped up. Today it's confirming my bearishness, right? But I know that this stock tends to just do strange things because it's a really, really popular stock. I don't know why, but this is the kind of where the trade is showing me that I probably should look to buy it, right? So I boycott the buy. I won't buy it. So I wait for that confirmation. So if the VWAP breaks and this stock gets back into the 40s, but then fails at these prices that it was in the aftermarket, and then it rolls back over, I just wait. So when I know that my brain is not cooperating, and this stock, I'm so negative on it that I need double confirmation, even though it's below VWAP. And right now, if I was short, I'd probably be looking to cover. I want to see it actually go up first and then roll, because that confirms the bearishness. So I'm sitting there stalking the hymns, and if it collapses at the open, I probably won't do anything about it. But that's the great way about what we're doing now and the way I trade. Limited risk, and if the trade's not there, you just don't take it. A lot of traders are sitting there like they feel like you have to do something. You don't. It's just one day. The market's going to be open tomorrow, and that was a hard lesson for me to learn, because I was one of those. I just sit there going, "Oh man, I got to do something. I'm going to put some trades on just for the hell of it," and it doesn't work. So now you just sit back. There's always another trade coming. It could be 2 minutes from now, 5 minutes from now, or my God, you might have to wait for a whole day.
Well, and that's what I've loved about this strategy and building it into this. And again, with Kenny and it's going to be kind of alerted there as well, is that I'm the same way. I am that guy who is itching to trade all of the time. So the fact that you can just set your alerts and you have the plan, and the plan is fairly simple, it helps with that a lot, where you're just saying, let me know when HIMS, Palantir, Qs, whatever it is, breaks VWAP. And until then, I'm just gonna hang out. I'm gonna watch the market, get kind of a feel for what's going on, and then if I get my alert, then it's time to go, man. So listen, Kenny, I know you got to bounce. I know you got to bounce to your room, and I appreciate you coming by.
Man, thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you guys. I haven't seen you guys in a while.
So
take care, guys.
Good time. Talk soon, bud.
Yeah, brother. All right, good luck today, everybody. Good to meet you. I'll see you guys.
Thanks. Take care.
Go get it, man. All right, let me get Kenny out of here. There you go. We got him out here. And definitely go ahead and check out hitthebid.com, guys. Can't miss it, guys. I'll tell you guys, for real, you guys will have a great time over there. And definitely, like always, one of the things that you'll learn from us is that we always like to surround ourselves with other traders that have that mentality, right? They're here for a long time. They're not here just for a short period of time to take one trade. We need something that we can use for years and years and years to come, right? That's what we're all trying to find, what they call the bread and butter, right? And I think it's very important.
And Kenny, right, and guys like this, a lot of the guys we're bringing, but Kenny in particular is just an absolute legend, right? I'm going to his website. I'm going to his YouTube channel right now, and I'm just going to go to videos, and I'm going to sort by oldest. The oldest video is 12 years ago of him playing with action figures in front of his screen. So again, just a legend, and grateful for him, because the strategy that I'm running, the thing you guys see me do every day, that came from, and this is the real advantage of kind of getting out there and meeting real traders, right? I sat next to Kenny at JC's thing, and he was like, he was just pointing at his screen. He's like, "Nos, look at this." He's like, "I'm going to buy Tesla here. It's going to go to there. I'm going to be out. I'm going to, make my $1,000 and I'm done for the day." And just like clockwork, it just happened. So it's getting to see that and getting to talk to people is amazing. And then of course my quant brain goes, okay, well, how do we, because he's doing everything so old school, where he's got no alerts, he's got no nothing, he's just looking at the charts of the day. So go out there, meet people, hang out in the stream. We're going to bring you a lot of people. Take the one that makes the most sense to you, and then make it your own and systematize it the best you can, right?
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, at the end of the day, I trade VWAP all the time. And I think it's one of the best ways to just trade, right? It just keeps it simple. Of course, the anchored VWAP can get a little bit more difficult on where you're anchoring and things like that. But you heard there, right? Like keep it simple. It could just be like the 2-day anchored VWAP, right? And then you're just using a comparison of yesterday and today. That's it. Don't need to get pretty with it, right? Especially for the newer traders. The newer traders, I think, need to learn that more and more, guys. When you're newer, it's about being simple. When you get more complex is when you understand that you can handle more information, right? Because the truth is that you don't want to have this too much information. Too much information can also cause you to do what? You won't make a decision, guys. You get analysis paralysis, right? And then you're not able to make a decision because it's just, oh, but the MACD says this, but the RSI says this, and the MFI is pointing this way. Price direction's going this way. The Bollinger Bands are saying this. And the truth is, guys, if you start being like that, you're not going to be able to take a trade. And so just trying to sometimes keep it simple, like a VWAP, price action. Hey, I'm going to look for the market to be up, and I'm going to take a VWAP long strategy, right? Things like that, right? Trying to simple situation. If this is happening, I'm looking for these types of strategies. If this is happening, I'm looking for these types of strategies. And that's what you see Michael do a lot of. And what is he using? He's using his, of course, AI coding abilities, right? To find him the stocks. And then in Trade the Pool, he's activating them. But like we all know, he would love for even it just to activate by itself, right? And so the key there is more figuring out what strategy you want to do than necessarily understanding how you can best execute it, right? So try to figure out what works for you guys.
Yes, I'm going to continue to tease people because I continue to hear that's close.
It's coming.
We're getting close to you build a strategy that you can just hit a button and let it go. And to me, again, that's where I believe the real.
That's 3 minutes for the bell, guys. 3 minutes for the bell. So we'll get to some stocks right quick here before the bell, guys. I'll let Michael run through some things here. The only thing I will say is, once again, damn move already happened, man. Overnight, they keep just gapping it, and it just sucks. It sucks when I want to be bearish, and then the overnight action happens like this.
And then the last 3 days is a gap. Tiny body, gap, tiny body, gap, tiny body, right? And that's no fun, but it might just be the world we're getting into. I was talking about a little earlier too with Steve there. Speaking about VWAP, this is the one I'm watching because this is what what Kenny was talking about, the VWAP from the CPI. I think GDP number that was right there, and we spent the whole morning just kind of hanging out at it. So I'm going to wait to see. We're pulling down a little bit from it now. So I think that's going to be the area to look at. And then, of course, for the stocks I'm watching, right, we already talked about both, right? Palantir had earnings overnight. I don't want to say huge sell-off, right? It's where it was like 2-3 days ago, but a little bit of a comeback, especially I would be shocked if they make the double top that clean, right? I'd just be shocked. They're going to bleed through. And then HIMS, it would be the other one that he talked about. So I'm watching both of these for that VWAP fade, the same setup that Kenny trades that we're talking about, to trade to buy both of these names. That's about it. That's all I can see. I don't know if you guys have anything that you're particularly watching.
I can run through some setups I did on Trader TV right quick here, guys. Just real simple. I'll just run through it here. So Rivian's one that's on the watch for to the trend line break there. We'll see if Rivian can get to that trend line and get back up there. That's 14, of course, forward with some good earnings today. But pulling guidance, we can talk a little bit more about that during the show. Uber, one stock that's continued strong with themes, announcing another strategic partnership with an autonomous company, a robo-taxi company, Pony AI. So more and more mentions for Uber that could be getting it in more lift and more focus to, of course, AUR is another one that I'd mention here that has just pulled back. Also strategic partnership with Uber. They continue, guys. Another major hot stock right now is MOS. It's one of the leading RSI stocks in the S&P 500. We've been seeing a comeback on this. You have anything to add for this, Steve?
I mean, I've just traded the heck out of MOS back in the day, and hearing you say that it's one of the most strong stocks relative to the market is wild to me. It's been a while since I've watched it, but you're dead on.
Yeah, look at the RSIs on these CF and MOS is the ones that I'd be watching here. So we'll look to see if those can continue. I'm going to run through really quickly some other ones here. You guys keep trading. Markets open, guys. Other 2-3 names that have been some of the strongest ones: BJ's, Costco, Walmart. We'll see if those can continue making a move. Affirm is a good looking pattern. We got a lot of these inverse head and shoulders patterns, but I think you're going to see an attempt to make a further down right hand pattern, a right shoulder. So you could see some more decline in these names after a good setup. And a lot of people are watching these for neckline breaks to the upside. ARM being one of those included. Bros had some earnings today. Didn't go well for them as well as expected, but this could still be a turnaround story. We'll see what happens there. IBKR is another inverse head and shoulders pattern that's hanging out there. A lot of these all around the markets here. We'll see what happens with that one. DocU is another interesting pattern. I think this is a real interesting one to watch just based on this trend line. Look at that trend line. Trend line's like really pretty on DocU. So I think this could maybe pull back a little bit into this gap, but I'm really waiting for it to make that break above 85 with all the moving averages below it. A good trend line, multiple attempts to get back up there towards the 100. We'll see if DocU can turn things around. All right. And CART, of course, still on my radar. That's continued on the upside. We'll see what happens here. Let's get to the overall market and out the gates, just pointing sectors here. Energy leading, basic materials, utilities, and then the rest in the red.
Yeah, a little bit of a opening chop, right? So just kind of watching that, see if we're gonna get something cool to happen, but not yet.
I did go long. I had a short over the pre-market, so I just got lucky, honestly, and closed it, and then saw a big candle, waited for a little pullback, and looks like it's working. Wish I had more, just a tiny position. I also am watching the Chinese basket for sure. Baba had a really nice move overnight, so I'm keeping an eye there.
There's KTTA getting hot, guys. That's the one that I'm watching for, guys.
I bought some HIMS, that HIMZ.
Palantir bouncing. HIMS. Got you.
Just because it's bouncing, triggered off the open. Again, the same thing that I know Kenny's
Palantir also.
Yeah, both these things are bouncing pretty good. So yeah, HIMS, we had that break through the AVWAP. And it's already pushing its way to potentially the 2-day VWAP. That's 41.25. So that's the target on this trade. Just looking to get in and out.
I love that they already have a 2x long ETF. That's hilarious.
This is the one I'm watching, guys, right now. It just did that undercut around the $2. Really good move here. It's the one I mentioned for Trader TV on the day for me on the watch. We'll see if KTTA could be another GPUS. Big move yesterday on that one. Just went through this trend line, so I'm going to look for one more wash, attempt to try to double bottom at the 204. Then when we get back, let's say towards the 240s, that's when I really get excited, and I think this thing could really start to move here. See what happens on that.
There's HIMS and out. That's like so on HIMZ.
Nice little rip there on HIMS.
Yeah, $2 in 2 minutes. I wish they all could work like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a fast one. I will say that, right? That one moves pretty quickly. And I've traded it before. We actually traded it last week when you were gone. Had a nice winning trade on it also after the earnings pullback. We'll see if it can continue. Well, not the earnings pullback, the mention of the weight loss drug pullback off of this candle.
Yeah, and again, so for those who's wondering what happened there, that was the exact setup that Kenny was saying, right? He's saying, I hate this stock, I hate it, but that's the leverage. Let's look at just the normal one because there's more volume, right? So this is the exact setup he was talking about, is that it spends the whole morning under, tries to break, keeps failing to break VWAP. The first candle here off the open broke VWAP and closed on 2-minute candle. So you see that prints the green arrow. I bought it there, set a target to 2-day VWAP and out from there to there. So that's, risk reward, not huge. It was a little over 1-to-1, but the speed of that kind of first trade to get that to get that in your pocket. Next one I'm watching here is LMND, Lemonade. So another, this one is gapped up. So I'm looking to potentially fade this back down to the 2-day VWAP, which would be 30.50. So again, the thing I love about this setup is the simplicity of it. Like Mitch was saying, you got your setups got to be simple. They got to be simple. And that simply spends the morning under VWAP, breaks through it, you buy it, your stop's at the low, you're targeting the 2-day VWAP, you take your money, you move on, right? And if it's a little
nice
over a 1-to-1
setups, it's just you wake up in the morning, you do the same thing. I love it.
Well, that's one thing that, again, not to, I feel like I'm glazing Kenny a little too much here, but when I was there in New York chatting with him, I was talking about, how much I'm not a good day trader and whatever. And he was asking me what I was doing. And I was trying to get this whole complicated whatever. And he's like, no. He kept making Groundhog Day references, right? It's like, he's like, I'm Bill Murray. I wake up every day. I make a list of stocks that are gapping. I wait for them to break VWAP and I take the trade. And it's the same trade every day, regardless of rain or shine. Then I take my money and I go home. And he's generally done the first hour or so of the day and does other crazy stuff instead. So out of that one too soon. Looks like we're still going, but that's the trade. So eventually, you maybe leave a little bit of a runner, right? You take a couple hundred shares, you leave 100 shares on there because we're still going.
I'm in a little bit of BABA here. It came back to my basically just an ATR level that I have. So I'm in from 128. Keeping an eye on
Volunteer
that.
flushed. Volunteer flushed right back down. That's going to put some weight on growth stocks here. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Palantir getting hit.
I see SPY testing the 200-minute moving average that I just love to trade. That's one of my that might be my VWAP in some ways. I still use VWAP, don't get me wrong, but I found it really, really helpful to kind of gauge an intraday trend and just in the same way you would VWAP. So I'm keeping an eye on a recovery of that and a push up for staying in my long here. I have a rising or curling up support at 558.85, let's call it, right about there, that I'm keeping an eye on. So it looks like the BABA is working decently. I'd like to see that 130 tag today, 129.79. There's an imbalance for me.
A lot of volume building up here on the trend line from KTTA. I know a lot of people are watching that one. There's the break towards the 250 breakout. We'll see if we get that. I'm looking for a 220 pullback before the 250 breakout here. Let's see if it actually happens, or does it just rip off this 250? That's the break of the VWAP there, or KTTA. We'll see if it keeps going.
So another one I'm watching here. Yeah, back through VWAP here is this RXRX.
Oh, fun name.
Yeah.
I love the company from a fundamentals perspective. For what it's worth, amazing long-term play. They're one of the leading edges in terms of AI integration in biotech, and they're set up to do really well in the long term. It's a tough stock to hold long for if you watch every day because big swings.
Yeah, and that's what. So this had earnings yesterday. It really bled all day, right? So the idea is a little bit of just an overextension. Right, we're talking from $5 down to $4, so $1 move on this thing, a percentage huge. And then again, same thing, right? Spends most of the morning under VWAP, sells off the open. So if we get a kind of little breakout here, so it's on the 2-minute. So if we can get going, that's the next one I'm going to take. Again, stop the low of the day, target 2-day VWAP.
I added to my SPY. I'll share my screen, but I added to my SPY position there just because it tagged that 580.80, 555, 558.80 and caught really cleanly. I saw a big push off of that. So we are cooking. I want to see those pre-market highs swept now.
Small stock, really ripping on the daily chart. Also, TDUP, really strong on volume too. I think this is really one that there's something going on here. Either maybe a change of fundamentals, but it's doing really well. TDUP.
Okay. Sorry, I was just setting up that RXRX trade. TDU.
Thread up. Ooh, look at that daily chart there. $2 to $6 in pretty straight line there. Yeah, increased volume yesterday into the move. So you would think maybe if that was selling, it would get some down move today. You're getting the push right through that level, which was 540s. So big push there. Back to 6 here. I'm thinking about maybe scalping it back towards the 620s here. Doesn't look too bad here, guys. We'll see what happens.
Ooh, decent reversal there. Kind of spooking me. I'm going to take a little bit off on the next wick up, just in case.
Let's grab a quick look at the markets. The market did about what a lot of stocks that we're seeing out there did, right? A little dip off the open, flushed the pre-market lows, ripped it back through VWAP, and now we'll see if we can get to the pre-market highs, which are about 560 and a half. So a little bit of a flush, and again, it might be one of these things. So there's holding that important VWAP that I talked about, but we gotta prepare for this candle to look a lot like these candles, right? So it might be one of those where you get in, you take your money the long side, you take your money the short side. These small candles are very, very scalping type candles where most of the move's done overnight, and the market just kind of fiddles around all day. And we got FOMC tomorrow, so we need to know that, generally speaking, when we get these FOMC days come up, sometimes you have like just a dry market where they just say, okay, let's just wait for tomorrow. So we'll do a couple futures trades off the open. At least that I remember back in my day. That's what I used to do a lot of trade off the open on the Tuesday, and then on the Wednesday I wouldn't even go to work. That was always FOMC Wednesday was just an off day.
Along that TDUP, gonna try to take a shot there, guys. For a scout for it to come back towards the highs.
Nice. I did take half of my SPY off just because that wick scared me a little bit, and I was green off of a pyramid end, so I just took the ad off of it a little bit higher, and staying in half of the trade. I think we get up to that pre-market swing high that we talked about, or at least try it.
Yeah.
So watching Baba, there's volume coming in here.
I think that's the move, Steve. Those we know the market's been a little choppy recently intraday, right? So you take your trade just like Steve did. You take a bunch off, the first sign of weakness, and you hope you're wrong and it continues to go. But if you're not wrong, you made some money, right?
Absolutely.
You took the shot, right?
All right, guys. We'll see what happens to the SPY. SPY's holding in there, but it's one of those candles where it's just going to the top end, looking bullish, still staying in a bearish trend. We'll see what happens with this, if it can start to actually push up. But we'll see. We'll see.
All right, SPY work and Baba is not, so I'm going to keep an eye on that one. Probably going to stop out right under here. That's what I have it at now. I don't think I want to change it. I do think there's a decent chance that it just wants to dip into the supply zone. And if it shows a bullish response there, I'll probably just get right back in. But it could, maybe China's not the place to watch today. I need to take a walk around the markets and see what's cooking. China definitely with relative strength.
Let me take a look. Let's take a look at the heat map here. So this is the SP 500 today. Again, you can see very light red and a lot of gray, which is just showing us that not a lot going on, right? Down a little bit, not too much. Energy is very interesting. It's the only place that I see a little bit of green with ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips and Oxy, that type of thing. So it might be a day to look for a little bit of a bounce in the XLE, because that's been getting hammered a bit, but yeah, up very slightly. So let's take a look at those. XOM, the earnings, a little bit of a gap up today, but nothing crazy.
Nice little hold of KTTA's VWAP there, now towards 270s. That's trying to go and rip out towards 3. I got stopped out of there at TDUP, guys, and that's a hit there on KDUP. But GLMD also mentioned in the chat. That was the 2 on the radar from this morning. We'll see if GLMD gets moving. It's trying to get back to the 160. KTTA still looking like the better one for me there. We'll look to see if those can continue going higher. All right, guys, seeing a lot of fading in some of the growth names. So there's Palantir almost breaking through the lows. I think HIMS might reverse back now. It's at 46.96. That trend just continued going higher there, straight up for the first 7 points. Did you see that move?
What was
HIMS.
that?
HIMS.
Yeah, I
at
know.
47.
God, yeah. I'm trying not to look because
Wow.
I
Yeah,
got out of my hymns a long
definitely-
time ago.
Yeah, that's how it was with me when I traded HIMS. So it's just maybe one thing to learn that we can maybe trend ride this one a little higher. Maybe trailing stop on HIMS seems to be working. So like the way that I traded it last week, I also missed out a lot of the move, Michael. I took a simple trade like you did too, but then the stock actually continued just doing this, and then you look back and you're like, oh man, well maybe I got a little too excited on quick profits there with HIMS. Of course, you got to know the type of stock you're in. Sometimes you're in stocks that are momentum names, sometimes you're not, right? In this case, pure momentum name. But it's interesting because Palantir is the opposite. It's just been on the fade the whole morning here. So
Whoa.
fading, and heading down towards the lows.
I won't even pretend like I was predicting that. I got out of my short or my long right before that. I don't know what just happened.
Or what?
Just on TQQQ. Yeah, but essentially the indices. I have no idea if that was news based. Maybe
Looks
there
like a
was
nice
data.
945 reversal right back down. I'm watching the 15 minutes charts, and it keeps showing me that at the end of the day, I mean, look at the 15 minutes charts that we got yesterday. So I feel like we keep getting this like drive to resistance, rejection from resistance, drive to resistance, rejection from resistance.
Yeah.
So I think we got to continue to watch to see what happens. Overall, I don't think the market might. I mean, for it to break that 558 on the downside, it's going to need to really push down. We'll see what happens here. And the key is this is before the FOMC. So, I mean, a little pullback is kind of expected off of that. And I think as long as you don't break, the V-shape recovery, you're still looking good, guys. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is we got to always take your trades, but understand that A, we've been choppy the last 3 days, and B, there's FOMC tomorrow. And both of those things make it very interesting to me that it's like, yeah, this is maybe some chop going on here. So just be careful, right? Just be careful.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go long on anything. I'm looking for a pop to get short, honestly, because this is an expansion candle downward to me. If it breaks the lows, then I think we might have some entries where it wicks back into this gap that is just opening up.
VIX looking good today. It's popping there. 64 is coming into play. I think you're starting to see a little flip there. This could be a fast one there. It did just break VWAP. I like it there. We'll see if VIX starts to pop above the 64s.
Yeah, I like VIX too, honestly.
It looks good there. Strong move. Strong move today. Could start seeing that deterioration in sectors also. Now, the only thing from the green is heavy utilities. Other than that, everything red. So it's a bleed of red now, guys. And when the overall sectors are like this, I think we could still continue it all day. We'll see what happens if the SPY can break the 558. We're heading towards it right now. There's 64 on that VXX move.
Yeah, we're definitely bleeding a bit. Again, it's been a lot of chop, right? It's been broke the pre-market low, then we bounced and looked like we were going to challenge the pre-market high, and then something happened there.
KTTA.
I'm off to the streets to try to figure out what happened here, because that definitely feels, I wouldn't say news. Do we just say tweet driven now at this point, where I don't think there's an actual news event, just somebody's probably angry and tweeting about something. So I'm here on the Walter Bloomberg. Global debt rises is the last thing he said. But that was 18 minutes ago, so that's definitely not it. That's the boy Walter. Let's go to Evan. Evan's my second look here. Take-Two just released a second trailer for GTA 6. So I'm not seeing anything from the streets anyway. So could that have just been just a big order coming through. Because the reason we're talking about this, guys, if you look at like the 1 minute chart, right, everything looks fine and dandy here, and then all of a sudden you get the spike up on 1 minute and just slammed into. So if it's not a news thing, then what it likely is that somebody was waiting for a spike, because it happened the second we broke a new high of the day. It almost felt like maybe there's someone looking to get out of a long position who was just waiting for that to go through, and then they slam it back down, right? So
it's also, I mean, one of the things that I've been noticing, I feel like traders are all of us are just trying to jump on the first move we see. And that's what that move is. It gives you the chance of thinking that, oh no, this is just another climb back. And then all of a sudden longs come in because they see a big bar to the upside, and boom, they start chasing. Now you get caught, right? One of the things is always understanding where the market can hurt the most. I think in this case, it's not the bears here. It's the bulls. The bulls, some people are thinking that we're just going back to all-time highs. In this environment, I highly doubt that. I think the market can climb the wall of worry, but with tariffs still out there, there's no way we're going back to all-time highs, at least right now.
Yeah. So I'm looking for a back test of the low of day there to get short. I scalped that candle, but not too quick to do anything other than just take the one candle momentum and then just cry because I didn't hold.
Yeah, we're extending here, bud. Like, look at that.
The day I don't take the VIX there, there you go. There's a 64 break, almost 50, 60 cents. Now 70 cents on that break, guys. That's just how it goes for me, guys.
Yeah.
I've been trading this trade literally every single day for the last 5 days. Today is going to be the day, guys. They probably won't even look back.
Well, so the question that I think we're asking now is this going to be some sort of, are we really going to get everybody here, right? Now that we're breaking lows, are we going to reverse back through and then break highs? You're talking with a Max Payne, that kind of chop would really, really give people a bad day. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it. That would be a lot. It seems like this was the fake out more than anything up here, but
yeah, to me, I think this is the classic move where I would be, as a swing trader, closing all positions. And so I think about it like this. The market always has a tendency of pulling your gains right back. And so if you don't take your gains, the market will take it for you. I think this is that classic move where you're going to get some swing traders saying, well, I've done pretty well in these trades. It might be time to ring the register today.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
Especially like if you had the bottom there picked out. If you got it near the bottom, I mean, you're up on a lot of these names, 10, 15, 20, and some even up to over 20%. So at some point you think, well, yeah, we got to take the money. And then it's just going to be repositioning, right? Where will they reposition? I think that's what we need to look for now.
Well, yeah, and again, there's a lot of games to be played here before FOMC, right, actually triggers off, right? There's a lot of, they can mess around a lot because, again, I always like going out to the daily chart and taking a look here at the daily chart and just note that we are pretty much the exact same price we were on Thursday. We haven't really gone up anything. We haven't gone down anything. We know that volatility is mean reverting. Price, generally speaking, is not mean reverting, right? What goes up doesn't have to come down. What goes down doesn't have to come back up, right? We know that. Price is trend. AMC, imagine buying a mean reverting setup on AMC. You're having a really bad time.
Damn.
And, imagine shorting Apple because you think it's up way too much, right? Unless you pick the very top, you're having a bad time too. But what is mean reverting is volatility. If the market is incredibly volatile, generally speaking, it's got to chill off at some point. And if the market's not doing anything and volatility tanks, then you generally have some sort of a spike. So when we had this crazy, insane volatility, we knew, and you can see this on the VIX, we knew that eventually, let me take these off. These are just something I'm playing with. We knew VIX at 50, 60, I can't stay like that forever, right? We have to start pulling back. So Now that we're in VIX 20, that makes way more sense that we're seeing this kind of action on the SPY instead of this kind of action on the SPY. So, like I said yesterday, perfect world for me from a bullish scenario is a slow grind into this 550 that was huge level on the way up. If we chill out there at 550 for a while and then start to make another high, that's amazing to me, because we got to remember, right? We moved like, what was it, 18, 19% from lows to highs in like a month. That's a insane move for the market, right? Some give back is not only okay, but I think is like necessary. If what are we going to do? Like just retrace this whole move back up in a straight line? That'd just be a 27% up move. Good luck.
So how do you feel about the structure on the way up? Do you think it's constructive enough to be a legitimate, let's call it, midterm bottom? I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? I mean, I have it in the title right there. Is this a bear market rally or is that a bottom? Let's call it here.
Sadly, I don't think we know for sure until we break new highs, right? That's just everyone like who debates about when to start the bull market. For me, it's simple. The bull market starts when you make a new high. But I do like, there's been some pretty substantial dips that have been bought, right? We had, the tariff back off day. And then from that, we pulled back another 7-8%, and then buyers came in. And then what really got me interesting, this is where Kenny was saying bull market stuff, is this GDP the number came in awful. It sold off dramatically. Bulls use that as a chance to buy aggressively. And then we rocketed to new highs. So this, to me, I think was the most significant day out there. We talk about it all the time. It's not the news. It's how the market reacts to the news. If the news is bad and they use that as an opportunity to buy, that is the most bullish thing a market can do. Just like if the news is great and the market spikes and people sell into it, that's the most bearish thing a market can do. So yeah. I think that, yes, but again, I'm in the camp that I think both the lows and the highs might be in for the year. And we might just spend the rest of the year inside this kind of 600 to 500 range. And while the rotation and the tariff, while all this kind of works its way through the system, I think we could be in this kind of choppy action. Again, just pissing everybody off from both sides.
Yeah, I can totally see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying not to wear my bear suit too much. I see those gaps below. I see this fail at a key level for me. I've been watching the Liberation Day mitigation area for a while, right? Like basically anybody who was caught long into that Liberation Day tariff news, they just got their exit, and now we're seeing sell pressure again, So that's a big red flag for me, just that day before the gap down started. So I'm keeping an eye on it. There's a decent little buy candle on SPY, so I'm keeping an eye on my short position here. Sorry, I should have mentioned that I got filled off the bottom of the day, and now I'm already kind of second guessing it because it could be a fake breakdown type look. So I'm keeping a very short leash on that.
Yeah, I just again, like, geez, now the system's saying to short hymns. Not enough juice to the 2-day view app, but you can see, right? Yeah. Green arrow there. This is embarrassing, right? I get out here and then it does that, but that's the trade. Now it's saying take a short, but again, this is too close to the target for me to take a trade on. The only thing I got on right now is this RXRX, and it's doing fine. So again, the idea was take it through as it came through VWAP right here, stop the low of the day. I'll probably raise my stop now up under this swing low and targeting that 2-day VWAP. So that's the only thing I got on the go right now. Again, I'm playing with this new setup here. This is something that I'm doing for more systematic trading. I just cannot wait for this auto trading capability to come in. I think I bother our CEO quite frequently by poking. Like, hey man, I keep hearing this thing's tested.
That was publicly traded.
Shoo. Yeah, that's another one that came through. And again, the idea just being looking for really outsized days. It's using a 30-minute chart, just looking for really extended down moves and then kind of a gap and a continuation into the next day. just trying to say, okay, maybe the people who shorted this from 22 or are up 10% in pretty much a straight line, maybe they start to cover a little bit here.
All
So
right,
we got to
we'll
get
see
back
what
to VWAP.
happens.
Interesting to note the relative strength in IWM. Wondering what's going on there.
Small caps.
Yeah.
Usually that has to do with rates. Let me look. Has anyone looked at the Fed watch?
There's not much going on there. There's
CME.
definitely no interest rates going to be changed. I'll tell you that much. I can guarantee it, man. Guaranteed.
98.2% chance of no
Guaranteed.
change. Hey man,
No,
there's a 1.8% chance to take the flyer.
It doesn't matter, really. What it is, it's more about what will be talked about, right? We all know we're all just trying to get hints from Jerome's table. Another thing, we all just want to bother Jerome about being fired. So trust me, there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to be non-based on interest rates, based on if Jerome will have a job in the next coming months, if he doesn't cut. Questions on who else wants to cut on the board, right?
Man, if you go, you can.
It's crazy.
Just looking at the betting markets, man. If you
What
think
about
there's
him here on the bounce, what do you think?
$4 can turn into $100 on Kalshi if you bet that there's a 25 basis point cut tomorrow. That's a long shot of a bet, but man,
Somebody tell Trump that.
Fires are strong.
yeah. Take the bet and then go from there. So
Hims, man, trying to bounce on that WeVap. What do you think about that setup? Let's do a little trade here, a little trade talk, guys. We'll do a little buy it or sell it here. Buy it or sell it on Hims. Is it a fade here or is it a long here? What are you guys thinking?
I was actually debating
43.50 off of, maybe we'll do 43 on the wrist. That's where I see support here. So maybe you want to wait for the 43, but we'll wait.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a tight risk. So 2-day VWAP's 42.50.
Okay.
I was actually considering buying it if we could come into the 2-day VWAP just to get it from the other side. That's also roughly the highs from before the earnings report. So if we pull back that much, I think that's an interesting place to buy it there.
Well, if you're not busy in the chat, guys, you can drop it in there. You guys think Hims is a long or a short from here? We'll see what happens. I like it on the 43 cut. I'd maybe getting it right on that 43 cut and then looking for it to kind of reverse here. But that to me, it's more about the 1, 2, 3 pattern, bullish engulfing back up, right? So that's just one strategy that I have. We'll see what happens here on Hims. It is pulling back there. Market's still kind of dragging, but you know what it's doing? Not going anywhere, of course, because the move has happened overnight, and now we get all excited about nothing. And that sucks, man. I'll tell you right now, when the market keeps doing these gap downs, if the market keeps doing it like this, it's going to be pretty damn hard for the bears to be making money unless they're just swinging short with just setups, right? That's the only way you woke up this morning in the green, probably if you're a bear from yesterday. So, hey, it's going to be tough, man. We need those swing accounts, Michael. What's up?
I know. And it could be this way for a long time. It's dangerous because any tweet could gap you up or down quite a bit, but you just manage risk with swings on position size.
So I'm not taking this trade. I'm just letting the chat know again. I'm saying again, I'm not taking this trade, but this is where my entry would have been right there. It would have been triggered 43 entrants. Let's see what happens. Off 42.50s would be my risk. Michael saying maybe a 42.50 entrance here for you.
Yeah, I would do a 42.50 buy and then probably stop like all the way at 41. But my stops are always way wider than yours are, which is
wide. No, but I mean your size is also lower, right? I mean,
right.
It's just the way it is, guys.
Yeah, again, there's the 2-day VWAPs, just zooming in so people can see it. That came almost right to it. So that would be my idea. Is you buy it, then you get a solid close below the 2-day VWAPs. Time to go.
Thinking this could be a fake breakdown long type setup. Keeping an eye on this level here. For me, it's pretty important.
So we all thought long. We all went long.
There's the recovery. I hung in there. I got close. It went to 42.65. Let's see what happens. Now going back towards the 43.30s. Let's see if it can tap 43 or slightly underneath and then just go. Right here would be that move. So just tapped 43, slightly underneath it. Now go back to the upside. We'll see if it does the move. All right, SPY and hanging in there. I'm looking around to see
what's going up. I'm in long.
You're looking. We're looking for a bullish move. An interesting one is Starbucks today.
Pull it up.
That's kind of a nice bearish reversal pattern there as it undercut the 81, went through the VWAP. Is that the Kenny Glick?
Could be.
What did he call it? The
faux show bro.
The faux show bro, man.
Fake out, shake out, and then you break out.
I mean, when you think about it, a lot of times these strategies have a lot of things similar to what we're looking for, right? I talk about all the time hourly undercuts and then reversals back. That's what that is. It's just going to be viewing it with some different indicators, right? And sometimes you need to find strategies like that are similar to yours, maybe using something that's slightly different. But when you actually look at the trades, they're very similar in the psychology of it, right? And so looking for things like that can really help you define your trading a little bit more in that strategy, right? So maybe I'm looking for hourly undercuts, but I'm not worried so much about the support. I'm just worried about buying on the VWAP after the recovery, right? Things like that, right? So, hey, we'll see what happens there. Starbucks, definitely one of those plays.
And yeah, what you were talking about there, Mitch, is systemizing your trades, right? So you take you start with an idea of I like, right, undercut and rallies, and then doing the things of buying it when it gets back through VWAP and all that. Those are just the steps to take that general idea and systematize it, right? Because now you have something that you could program for an entry. You have something, you know where your stop loss is, right? Your profit target is going to be up to you, but that's the same thing. And what like this faux show bro and the VWAP fades that I'm doing and everything is doing is it's basically just it's positioning, right? At the end of the day, if you want to boil down to what trading is, it's positioning. It's finding where the general public is positioned and then trying to look for a catalyst that those people are either going to have to get out of those positions or add to them. Like trend trading is basically just saying, I think everybody's going to buy this stock and they're going to hold it for a while. That's all trend trading is that, NVIDIA, for example. I don't think anyone's going to sell NVIDIA as long as the AI plays hot. That's your idea for trend trading. Revision to the mean is just saying, I think there's a bunch of people that are long this that are going to sell in the near future, or a bunch of people that are short it that are going to cover in the near future. At the end of the day, so these undercut rally, liquidity grabs, fair value, the blah, 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 whatever that ICT scammer dude says, it's all just where are the humans positioned, and then let me take the other side. So again, this is something that Kenny's been doing for years. It's just saying, hey, I'm going to look for people to get faked in or faked in short. And then I'm just using the VWAP as that trigger condition to say it's time to take the other side, as opposed to just kind of randomly taking the trade. So
yeah,
not a bad way, guys. Not a bad way to look at it. Another thing to do is to look for these on some of the top movers of the day, right? Just to kind of do that, let's take a look at some of the top movers today on the SPY. One of the names that I've been bringing up is doing really well on the day. CEG, guys, ripping here. Nice VWAP hold. Strong all into the open there and continuing the strength. Now going right back through that VWAP that I had drawn there. So CEG, one of the hottest stocks right now. That makes me feel good for the nuclear play, guys. GEV, I think, can continue with that move doing strong. I'd start taking a look to see if uranium names start to get the move there. I'm going to continue to watch them. They haven't gotten the lift today. I'm still watching SMR above like 17. It keeps struggling there. So I'm going to give a little bit level higher, like 19 or 18 to really start seeing strength. But you can watch these names. These are small nuclear names, but definitely CEG in the utility space with utilities up today, up 0.46. This is helping it, and it's strong there. CEG, big move. That's leading the SPY too. So just wanted to note that. I see Ford doing well today. I talked about how that had decent reaction based on just the actual kind of effects of the tariffs. They're expecting a lot lower effect, of course, than let's say a GM. And we talked about that. The reason why it's just they make more cars here than they do elsewhere, right?
I just took half of my SPY long off, by the way. Just
Nice.
came up into my trigger. just trimming. We'll see how it goes.
Retail
It's funny
stock.
as you
Oh, go
said
ahead.
that, I'm like, I'm taking some SPXL here with a stop
Hey,
in the
that's
low of the
fine
day.
too.
But
I mean,
yeah, it's
I
just,
think that's the other valid part, right? If it's closing over this trigger, then I do think it has a lot of room. So I'm just out of half of it. I think we have room to cook.
Yeah.
I'd like to get a little bit of back test on my level there. Just get in off that. We are
All right, guys.
putting up in my VWAP.
Today's that day that's probably going to be where everything works because I'm not taking it. Hims doing really well there.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Would have been taking some profits there at the VWAP, right? Just to give myself a break even out now and then just letting it work.
And
Nice.
come on, look at this, right? So this, I'll highlight it so people can see it. That's the 2-day VWAP right there.
Boom.
So it came right in it, undercut it by what? It was 63, undercut it by 10 cents, and then rip back up to the 1-day VWAP. It's like these 2-day, again, the next strategy I'm looking for is going to be extensions to something that is opening up far away from the 2-day VWAP and then rallies all the way to it, or in this case, sells off all the way to it to potentially take a fade. Because I've just seen it happen so much where these have come to this VWAP and then reverse from it. So this 2-day VWAP play, I think, is so insanely interesting that I want to play against. And right, we just saw Kenny chat about it for forever.
Yeah. There goes Starbucks, another level higher. So that one's doing well today. I will say that.
So if this level holds right here on SPY, I'll nibbled. The nice thing about Trade the Pool, I'm really loving this account, honestly, because it's so much easier than trading my own money in terms of managing buying power. You know, I can take some off and just get right back in if it looks good again. You know, it really helps me secure profits. But now it does look like we're going for high day here to me. We're cooking through VWAP. We're cooking through the 200-minute moving average here. So I'll add more on a back test that holds of that level as well.
Yeah, it's one of, you know, Trade the Pool is one of the reasons that got me back into day trading after being away for like 20 years. Right? It's just the fact that I don't need to tie up. You know, I feed my family with swing trading, so right, use it someone else's money for the day trading side of things is the way to go.
Yeah, no doubt. So a little top left over VWAP here, or over the 200-minute.
I think we're just stuck in a range, man.
Yeah, I'm using this 557 here as my stop loss. Set a low of the day. It's basically just like the pre-market low. So 557.5. If we get back through, and that was kind of the opening print as well. If we get back through there, I'm definitely wrong in the position. So that allows me to risk way less. And I took SPXL, so I took the triple leveraged guy there.
Nice.
And then my RXRX is hanging on, not doing too much, but I can bring that up here. RXRX. Right, just kind of just chilling out, which is fine. So now for this one, right, if we get a close back under VWAP, it's time to go on that one too. So got these two trades. They're both relatively small trades now with relatively low risks.
That KTTA, it's continued going all day, guys. 362 now, guys. So at least I'm still like, I think 4 for 4 on Trader TV with the small cap names. So let's keep it going, team. Let's go. I always give him a small cap. There's been running literally every time. So I'll just keep it going at least. Gave him KTTA as the name for the watch today. Of course, G-Plus yesterday, really big move there. We'll see if some other names can kind of get back to that level. G-Plus fading today. It could be coming crashing right back down. If the market can go red today, also helping with some negativity in the market. But GPUS definitely pulling back.
So this might have been what caused the reversal. Maybe, I don't know. Our boy Walter Bloomberg, Bassent has cut $2 billion from IRS IT budget without any operational disruptions. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Decent sell off of VWAP here. Keeping an eye on this 5-minute.
Look at Starbucks, man.
Just doing its own thing.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's doing the Kenny Glick. Look at it.
Wow. You're right.
It's doing it. It's pushing away. It's not going back to the VWAP. It's pushing away.
Yeah, and look how it just cut through the 2-day like butter. Like it did.
Yeah. Like
it
butter.
Didn't even
like,
care.
And trust me, you know I'm a bear in Starbucks for me to look at that. And what is that? That's just volume coming right back in.
Man, the insane. Every time I hear about Starbucks, I just think how hilarious it was. I think it was this move right here where they fired the CEO, and that was like $3 billion worth of market cap was added because you were fired. Like, how do you explain that the next time you're applying for a job? Like,
that's got to
yeah, the second they canned me, all of a sudden the company's worth $3 billion more.
I'm watching Baba here. I think it's acting constructive and coiling under my key 128.40-ish level. Still bopping and chopping around, but I'm keeping an eye there.
It's tough. It's tough to, I think, taking these buys here in China, it's interesting. I don't know, man. I think China might be digging in for the long run here and tariff war. And if that's true, I'm telling you guys, we might see those lows again.
Maybe the relative strength we've seen in foreign emerging markets, specifically China, maybe that continues. And my strategy this year has been buying dips on those names and selling rips on U.S. equities. And now I'm done selling rips on U.S. equities. But today I think I might start again. I mean, I did it overnight, but now here's a nice power candle. So I'm glad I'm currently long. I'm going to take some more off if we can sweep high a day, just in case. But I think that if we do and close above, then we'll very likely keep running here. We have a nice range hollowed out from yesterday to go in and contend with, potentially fill that gap to the upside. So I'm keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, the SPYs look great here. Again, the RXRX isn't doing too much, but this SPXL trade is working out, and I'm with you there as well. Where I'm in the chop camp, so if we do get much above highs there, I'll take it off. But in this VWAP that I talked about, under it for a little bit, and now we're going back through. This makes me next target if we get through kind of pre-market high is a gap fill, and that's 563. That'd be a pretty good. That actually lines up with 2-day VWAP. So that'll probably be my ultimate target for this trade.
You know it. Him's continuing.
Nice. So I got filled on the partial. I'm still holding about a little under half of the position.
I did see that I'm in HIMS in my long-term account now. I actually did a whole video about HIMS yesterday because of the trade. It's the first long-term trade that my system has told me to get in since kind of the craziness has started. Everything since then has just been buy the dip, sell the rip, right? Play the ins and outs, that kind of thing. But last weekend it said it's finally time to start buying stocks. So we'll see if it's right.
All right, so I'd like to see consolidation up at high of the day here, and not just a instant sell-off. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it looks fine still. Feeling good.
We're holding pretty well. That was a bit of an expansion candle in the last candle. So
I like it.
At least for now, we're not completely rejecting the high of the day. I was joking when I said we were going to undercut today's low and then rip again. I obviously didn't expect that to happen, but again, we feel like we're in. Well, we're in a screw everyone market, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
the Bears have a bad time, the Bulls have a bad time, everyone has a bad time.
No
Just
fun
the way it
allowed,
goes.
unless you're a sneaky trader like us. And we were kind of, I mean, you were joking, but I was kind of serious looking for that undercut and go. So that's my thesis was, I mean, I don't know how I've actually somehow I caught the little move up in the morning, the move down, and the move up here. So I want to not overstay my welcome in these, and that's why I've been taking partials on each of those on the way, because it feels weird when you're right 3 times in a row. Like it feels like you're due to be very wrong, but nice expansion on Qs.
Here's our boy Walter Bassett repeats: trade deals may come as soon as this week. I tweeted last. Have you ever seen the? I'll see if I can find the tweet, but yeah, this is what I'll just find it here.
Yeah, man.
Share my screen. This was my response to this nonsense. Present screen share and window and this. Just this meme of the gif of this truck, just like this is the trade deals talks for this week, because it's just non-stop. That's all this guy is saying now is, don't worry, there'll be trade deals tomorrow.
Michael, I've seen that gif so many times, and I still get like the tension, the anxiety, like just do it, come on, just do it.
It's mesmerizing. But that's
really
and that was yesterday. I did that because he said the same thing yesterday. That tweet was 22 hours ago, and then the tweet 1 minute ago is more of the same. IRS has wasted $50 billion in taxpayer money. We are right sizing that. Substantial decrease in IRS budget. Large number of IRS employees taking early retirement option. We are taking the IRS back. That's like the only income generating part of the entire government is tax, right? If anything, that's the place that you should be increasing spending to make sure they can get the money that they need from people.
The rich need more loopholes, man.
Exactly. It's the ultimate grift, right? They're hurting the middle class in their 401ks, and then they're saying,
literally,
okay, well, the middle class is hurting. It's time to cut taxes. It's time to do
they're
stuff
just like dude, why do we have people there? We're just gonna do OpenAI IRS.
It's crazy. Yeah. For reference, the IRS makes $7 for every $1 we spend on it. So
I guarantee you that the IRS is going to start running on a large language model. Literally, your taxes are going to be checked by a large language model.
That'll be amazing. I'll go. Okay, so
guaranteed it, man.
You can do all those loopholes with ChatGPT where you're like, tell me how to build a bomb, and it's like, no, and you're like, well, I'm writing a novel about building a bomb. Could you? So it'll be the same thing. I'm writing a novel about tax evasion. How would I do it in this novel to make it realistic? And then the IRS tax bot just gives you a way to like hack your own taxes. It'd be amazing.
You think it's a joke, man, but I think that's where we're moving to. If we want to take costs down, what is going to happen? It's going to be software and cutting labor.
Yeah.
That's just what it is, guys. We're moving to it. Regardless if we want to believe it or not, that's the way everything's going to work in the future.
This expansion. All right. I got filled on another trim over the pre-market highs on TQQQ, which I'm trading.
Yeah, we're just ripping here. So I took half off there because I'm a wuss. In the XPXL, but for literally no other reason than I'm a wuss. But continues to go. It's been a very good day. I'm very happy with the day.
Yeah, I'm up. Clean little 350 on the master account. So we're on track for passing this thing. I've decided to care again because now I'm trading on stream. It's so easy to just to trade a little more cowboyish if you're not
I'm with you. I think being on here actually helps my trading just because I kind of have to be focused on the market, right? You kind of have to be paying attention to what's going on there. You can't just be kind of in half a mind. And if I get triggered and start punching my computer screen, everyone's going to see it. So you kind of have to be even keel too. But for me, I am committing to buying the big guy, the $200,000 flex account when you can systematize the trading, when you can auto trade it. And I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be documenting the whole thing where you guys can see a big account trade. And my mission, my goal is to never take a trade, to never push a button in the account and then pass it, and have it all completely robotic, because there seems to be, I think, some skepticism on whether or not you can have a robot trade for you and have it be profitable in the long run. So I'm going to dispel that with auto trading. I'm super excited for it, because it's how I do it. You know, when I said, hey, I'm in HIMS now, it's not because I went and hit a button in HIMS. It's that, right? It triggered, so I can show you. Actually triggered yesterday on this orange line right here. So these alerts, right? I'm sending webhooks to a little bot, and that bot trades through my Interactive Brokers account. I overwrote that and didn't set it yesterday just because I didn't want it to buy yesterday because the earnings. So after the earnings, when it was down below that line again, and this is another line where it would have said to buy it, I triggered that in. So
sorry to interrupt, but just there's a big volume surge on BABA there. I got filled on a partial on my trim. I think we're probably gonna rippy there.
Oh yeah, we're getting close to challenging pre-market highs.
Yeah, that's where I have another trim at. So I hope anybody who followed my trade was in there and not oh wait, no, everything I did on here did work. I'm used to having a bad trade in the morning, you know? Like, I just wanted to shake the cobwebs off. I guess today is an outlier.
Well, good. Right? That's the way it works. Every now and then, it's just probabilities.
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of top wick on that volume, so I did take a little bit more off here. Just a little bit. I want to let the trade cook, though.
More action than I thought we would have, to be honest. Even though, right, this is the Michael Noss sumo moment, right? Even though this is the daily candle, right? It's nothing.
I haven't done anything.
No progress, but more action in a trend down that you could have taken advantage of, and a trend up that you could take advantage of than I expected on a pre-FOMC day.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So it looks like Qs are a little bit stretched here after sweeping the pre-market highs. Would not be surprised to see a little bit of pullback here. Probably test the high of the day, the previous high of the day. That would seem good to me.
Yeah, so SPY pre-market high, and looks like we're fading. So just be careful, guys. Just the real funny trade would be sweep the pre-market lows, rip it to pre-market highs, sweep the pre-market highs, rip it back down to pre-market lows, and just do like a megaphone pattern all day where the just screws both sides on both ends. But not the bet that I would take, but it could happen. We could have a little bit of a pullback if people are worried about those pre-market ranges. So just be careful with that.
Those we call them in your favorite cult of ICT, we call those seek and destroy ranges, right? They're just sweeping stops on both sides, just shaking the market for its lunch money. So I got out of my long here. It just looks a little bit weak, and I think we caught a nice trade there. So I have an order set to buy off the high a day previously, because those have been working really well for these kind of range breaks, back tests, and continuations. So that's the next trade for me. I'm just keeping an eye there. Still holding runners and BABA though.
Yeah,
all right, guys, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out inside this trade, right? I'm in right at here at VWAP. So VWAP is now above my entry price, so I just kind of move my stop. So it gives me a logical place to be break even, just in case. So again, ultimate goal is right. 2-day VWAP is right up there at 563. That's also the post market low, where you can see we kind of balance here. So get to those two prices. That's good. Get back under VWAP. It's time to go. Took again half off to pay myself a little bit on it. Now we're just waiting to see. If I'm right, that could be fantastic. If not, it's still okay.
Yeah, and the trade still looks fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm a little antsy, I think. And yeah, nice push there. Off of the 9-minute EMA for me.
Oh, Bassant. He must be getting interviewed, this Bassant guy. It's just my Walter Bloomberg scream is just constant. So the U.S. government will never default. We will raise the debt ceiling. So that's, I guess, a good thing to not default as a government. So take it higher, I guess.
It's always inspiring when they say things aren't completely broken. Trust me. It reminds me of Yellen like panicking the market by saying, "You guys, it's fine. Don't pull your money out of the banks." It's like, I don't trust you now. I thought it was until you said that.
Yeah, I wasn't going to pull my money out of the banks till right now.
Yeah, it looks like I got shook out of the long. That's okay though. I'm sure it'll give me another entry somewhere. If it's real. How do you feel about flat top breakouts? Like, okay, say this is a 1 minute flag. If we close the candle above the high of that, like I usually don't like those because it feels like so often they'll sweep the stops and then just mess around with you a little bit, like this kind of.
Trend following on any time frame is going to have a super low win rate, but in the long run is going to make money, and that's
Sure.
the whole nature. And the question I think you always got to ask yourself whether you're going to be buying pullbacks or mean reversion or trend following is that, do you want to make the most money or do you want to have the highest win rate? And that's not a, I don't think some people say, oh, I always want to make the most money. It's like, no, you have to psychologically be okay with the fact that, and this has been studied time and time again, like opening range breakout strategies, I think are a perfect example. Like a 15-minute, there's that famous study that was done on the Qs with a 15-minute ORB that made a bunch of money over time, but was right like 35% of the time. So the question you got to ask yourself is, do you have that kind of mental fortitude to say, I am, I'm going for the guts here to make that amount of money, but I'm going to be wrong most of the time. And a great guy to follow with this is Jerry Parker, who manages billions now in his funds and is an old ex turtle trader. And so he does pure, very simple trend following, right? And buy X number of day high, get out when it breaks X number of day low. And he does this very, very basic common trend following strategy. And he talks about it all the time. He's like, I'm a billionaire, but it's not like it's easy. You got to know 70% of trades you put on are going to cost you money. And then that's only half of it. The other side of things is to not sell when that thing is finally, he's like, because if you get out even a second too early that your system tells you to stay in a trend following system, that will kill you. Because a whole point of a trend following system is it's kind of like venture capital, right? Where 9 times out of 10, nothing, you're either going to lose all your money or you're going to make just a couple bucks. And then 1 time out of 10, you're going to make like a 10x on your trade. And if you don't have those guts to say, I'm, going to trade, I'm going to trend follow this thing for ages, then don't do it. And honestly, I think most people, as much as they like to say they are, I think most people aren't cut out for trend following strategies.
I'm not. I'll be the first to say I love my mean reversion scalps. They make me feel comfy and warm inside. I get to pocket a little money and just watch the market go right back to the same pivot point that it's been at for the past day or week or whatever, and that's very soothing to me. It's like, all right, I can, this is a very, things won't always break out, but everything will mean revert eventually, or at least there'll always be something mean reverting, so it helps my mental for sure to not be losing more often than winning, and I can deal with missing the big moves.
Well, yeah, and as a guy, so like as a systems guy, right, for my swings, I've got both, and my trend following systems are like 40% accurate, and my mean reverting systems are about 60% accurate, right? I guarantee you it feels easier to take those mean reverting systems, but the trend following in the long run ends up making the most money. You just have to be okay with months and sometimes a year or two of absolutely nothing, and then you get like, the example I always go back to just because it's always top of mind is this A&F trade, Abercrombie and Fitch.
Man.
The trend following system, bought it in the 30s, and I got out in like 116. So that was like a triple. I tripled my money on that trade. But right, it's only 4 out of any 10 trades are going to even make a penny, let alone, it's probably 10% of trades, like the 80-20 Plato principle. that are going to make all of the setups. And it's, again, same thing with day trading, right? Most of the time, I think it's 80% of the time, the market actually chops around intraday.
Nice push here. Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know why you had to bring up the chart. That would hurt me most. Michael, I missed the long, and then I was like, I'm not going to chase. And then it tripled, and then it set up again. I'm sure you were watching that setup along with everybody else in the market as it flagged out at the highs there. And then I tried to put on my breakout trader hat there on one of those what looked like base breaks. Yeah, exactly. See that?
I think it's probably that guy right there.
That was the one who got me. And then luckily I got out really fast, but that's the only shining, silver lining there, where it's like, okay, at least I was able to recognize that the idea wasn't working, and I didn't get dragged for 50, 60, 70%, something crazy.
I'm just mad I wasn't shorting this thing. So
that was like a pretty big sign for me, because it was a major leader and it just completely failed. And so, I mean, that was telling us something about the consumer, whether we wanted to listen back then or not. That was a few months before people decided to get bearish on see cracks in the consumer data, so to speak.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's just like, again, all I know about ANF is that this was like for teenagers. Like, everyone was shocked, I think, when it was doing this. I still think, and I don't know if it's been reported, this feels like a hedge fund blow up or something that they have to, because it's just a teenage clothing store. I don't get why it tripled or quadrupled in like a year. It doesn't make sense.
First off, Michael, their straight fit or their loose fit 90s jeans are fire. I'm telling you. Try some on. You'll see what I'm talking about. Their clothes are actually good now. I always associated them with with the same thing you just said. But honestly, I've become a convert. Yeah, out with Levi's. Those are old man.
No, I was about to say that is the only thing I wear is like Levi's and plaid.
No one's wearing that anymore, unless you're wearing like the ones from the 80s and 70s, and you're in a collector. But yeah, then maybe you'll find those. But yeah, I agree. ANF got hot. It was a trend. It was a trend, and the high schoolers and the middle schoolers were wearing it again. And sometimes you got to just look at trends, right? I think another thing there is the tipping point there could have easily been given just because we knew tariffs were on the way.
Yeah, fair.
I think that's the big thing, is that ANF had gotten to that level. And then the key was not catching this ANF break. Like I always say, there's leaders and then there's laggard effect. Look how ANF broke there, and watch how AEO took a little longer to break, but went further down now. Like AEO is back to 11, and everyone was buying AEO thinking that it could do an ANF move. It did go up, but nowhere near up as much as ANF did. And look where it's at. Right back where it came from.
American Eagle, they don't have the same, they don't have those thick hoodies. I swear I'm not sponsored, but ANF got good stuff. MXD in chat saying, yeah, it's not just a teen clothing store. Good to see you in here, brother. But yeah, they have completely rebranded, and it seems like, Michael, the other interesting thing is, I wonder if you're right about some sort of hedge fund blow up or something, because there was like a massive short report about the CEO engaging in some wildly scandalous behavior. And like, it seemed like the market loved that news for some reason. It was very
and it reminded me of this, right? And this was a hedge fund blow up, right? This where everyone's like, what's going on with this? And what was it? It was that CMC. Yeah, him, and he also did CMCSA.
Yeah, and Discover as well, I believe.
Yeah, a couple of these media companies where he was just buying on leverage, and then it went up a bit, and he got access to more leverage, and he just and it was like 20 times leverage on these positions. It's like, what could go wrong?
I just think it's
really
hot
nice
story
here, by the way, guys.
At the end of the day, guys, it's hot story. There's been plenty of these, right? NVIDIA, Palantir, HIMS, right? I mean, it's just story. It's story that gets hot in these names, and then evaluations don't matter, and even the technicals that tell you that it's oversold or overbought don't matter, right? And I think that's the interesting part, is that sometimes stocks can just move on story, and it doesn't matter the evaluation. It could just keep going. Like I was one of those that thought Palantir would stop at maybe 55s or 40s. just slightly over the all-time high from 21. No, it just doubled from there. Why? Because a lot of people just kept going with it and buying it at all cost. That's when you know a stock is just running on story. They're literally just buying it. They're like, it goes down, buy.
Well, that's why trend following works, is right, because every now and then some sector or story or whatever gets hot, and then you just have to manage risk when you're wrong. That's why, again, trend following has generally a sub 50-50 win rate. You just have to have the guts to hold on when that next trend is happening. And that, again, I think is the hardest part, because especially, you've got a 30% win rate. You've bought 7 breakouts in a row and they've all lost money. And then you buy that ANF breakout and it starts making you money. It gets really hard psychologically to say, okay, well, I have to stick with this one to get that triple or quadruple that it ended up doing in order to make my strategy, not only make all the money back that I lost on those 7 haircuts, but to make my strategy worthwhile trading versus just buying the S&P 500. Is I have to do that. And because no one has a crystal ball, the only way to do that is to have, you can try to do some fundamental stuff as well when it comes to picking whatever story is going to happen next. But at the end of the day, you're buying a stock as it's breaking out. And again, having the guts to hold it, I think is the hardest part. So that's why a lot of trend followers, whether it's CTAs with futures or whether it's trend followers with stocks or crypto or whatever it is, they're very systematic, because you got to pick an ATR trend following system, a multi-day trend following, or a moving average, whatever it is, and just know that there's nothing you can ever do to make your win rate as a trend follower like 60-70%. So you just have to be okay just getting punched in the face a lot. It's very, very hard to do, but I think that's why it works, right? It's because the easy trades, right, they're going to get arbitrage. Everyone's going to do the easy trades because they're easy. The hard trades work because it takes a rare person to say, I'm going to buy this. I don't understand why ANF is tripling. This makes no sense. It's overvalued. All the indicators are saying, oh, it's bought, but it's an uptrend. So I'm just going to hold it until it's no longer in an uptrend. And it's really, really hard to do psychologically.
No doubt.
Yeah, I love it for swing trading. Day trading on it is a little bit harder, I would say. But yes. you see it all the time in the small stocks. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You see it all the time in the small stocks. I mentioned it, the 9 EMA runs, right? But you just got to be a lot faster if you're trading it on the intraday action. But I think on the swing side of things, that's the way I stay in positions. I don't necessarily look for them for entrance. I'm looking for more pattern and story. But what I want to see is my pattern and story start to get hot, and then the trend be my friend, right? And then if the trend becomes your friend, that's when they tell you just got to ride the trend. And then what do you need to have? You need to have multiple moving averages, a short term, kind of a medium term, and a long term average. And then maybe you're using your medium term to keep you in the position, right? Or maybe it's an anchored VWAP or something like that, right? You need to have some way to keep you there. That's another thing, is what to determine what moving average to use, right? I mean, there's a lot of different moving averages to use, but you just got to find what works for you and how long you want to keep staying in.
Right, and that's it right there. If you're trying to hold a stock for months and you're using an 8 EMA, that makes no sense, right? You should use a 50 or something like that, right? It's finding your time frame and saying, this is my time frame, so this is the moving average I'm going to use, and then just sticking with that. And again, just knowing it was really a freeing thing, right? Something that it was great when I really got into systems building and everything is you get to see, I tested all of the famous trend following systems, built a couple of my own, right? Went back and forth. They have different edges and they work differently at different times. But at the end of the day, there was not a single one with a high win rate. And after, 2 years of back testing trend following systems and seeing there wasn't a single one with a high win rate, you just kind of get blackpilled on the whole thing. Okay. So it's not about that, right? It's about, instead of optimizing the win rate, I'll just take the 52-week high breakout strategy. And then it's about optimizing that hold period and how many positions do you have and these more nuanced numbers and just knowing. So HIMS, the trade that I'm in here, I can just break down at this point, break down the whole trade. So this is the idea. I think I've talked about this before. You're looking for something that sells off pretty dramatically and stays under an anchored VWAP from all-time highs for a long time, and then it breaks through back through that on high volume on the weekly candle. So that's why on the weekend, right, I alerted this is what we do over at Stats Edge, and so that's the premise. It's about 38% accurate, but if this ends up holding, then we can have a nice push into potentially highs and above. And then the out for it is simply, just grab this, it's simply the 21 week, roughly the 50-day ish, give or take, 21 week, I believe it's 21 week moving average. So as long as we're above this moving average now, which is currently at 33, I'm long HIMS. I know that there's a better chance than not that I will be wrong on this position. But right, imagine if HIMS does another, right? The last trade that this fired on HIMS was right, if I draw the VWAP, was right on this candle right here. So that was at 16. And then it went all the way up to 35 or so. So you got to double on that trade, giving a lot back on the way down. You got to double on that trade. So if it's going to happen again, I can get another double. That's, what else do I want? But yeah, I know there's a really good chance I'm going to be wrong on this.
And
No, I love it.
Starbucks continues, guys. Almost 83 now, as that's been a monster reversal there.
Yeah, great
and
call.
then that HIMS trade wasn't bad either. You see what happens when I don't trade them?
Great calls. Well, you know how it works, right? The next one that you do take.
No, that's gonna be the one that wrecks me. KTTA. We'll see if that can continue. That's still holding well. I feel like it's still holding well and could continue. I love when they go 5 minutes and go dead. So, like, if you look at that KTTA chart, that's a good looking chart where it's gone dead. Watch to see it wake up alive and hold that 3. It keeps holding that 3. As long as that you're not getting many closes underneath 3, you're looking good. And that's what you got now. You got about where you've gone sideways pretty much for an hour off of this 3 where you broke out, you come back. KTTA could be breaking out again.
Yeah, man, everything looks really good. Baba's just screaming through those previous highs that it swept and then came back to the trigger, just expansion. I think Baba's going to it could really just rip to 140 pretty quickly here in the next week or two.
The fun part is the SPY's gone nowhere either since like 10:30, but some stocks are working. So hey, just the way it is.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how to read this. You see these 3 top wicks forming. It could be like a 3 exhaustion push up, but I feel like this is a bearskin rug type day where anybody who's trying to short the hole from pre-market is just going to get smacked. That's my thesis. I'm just sticking with when I got stopped out and it looked strong, I just got right back in like a candle higher. I feel kind of silly, but it's like my plan was to have a runner, right? So I got in back with a quarter of the size of the initial position, and I'm just not going to touch it unless it sweeps me and breaks me, or takes my stop under that swing low there from the base of this flag, essentially. Which again, like Michael was saying, I think it probably does happen, but I need to have something on to trust the system, because like you said, if I'm right, it's more than 4-to-1 risk reward. So I'm okay with 30% batting average on that. The pot odds, I believe poker players would call it.
Not bad call out in the chat. Billy F talking about Adobe.
Ooh.
Adobe looking good.
I love similar those type of software as a service, cybersecurity type names. They count as. Do they count as cybersecurity? I forget. They're I guess more.
I mean, they got
enterprise software.
Yeah, right. You consider them just overall software with the amount of software they have, but also a major AI player, right? That could continue to push. It has had a pullback. It's back into an interesting area on the weeklies. We'll see. Not a bad area. If it can recover 400, I think that's the big watch on the weekly outlook. But not a bad look.
Sorry, just really quick. Are you sick of my ratio charts yet? Because I want to show it again.
Never.
Okay. All right.
Ratio charts are the best.
Here. This is a monthly ratio chart. Let me take this the crazy purple off for a second first. So this is a monthly chart. of IGV over SMH. So it's gauging the relative strength of software as a service against hardware, chips, semiconductors. So of course now it won't load the old data, but I promise you this is not an arbitrary rectangle. Although I do love arbitrary rectangles. This is a long-term support that it could not break through the support. It started to push off. It's now broken this channel, flagged for 4 or 5 months, and now is breaking out again. So, I mean, heck, this is a pretty nice chart. I gotta say, I'm a fan, and I think that it's very, very possible that the trend continues this year, and we see strong outperformance in software as a service over semiconductors. So this is a theme that I'm just hammering. Like every time the market's overextended, I short chips. Every time the market's overextended to the downside, I buy software, and it's been working really, really nicely. So keep an eye on that trend.
Yeah, CEG having an awesome day. Utility stock really ripping, and we'll look for those stocks to continue too. So strong day out there, guys. We got about 10 minutes left here. We'll see what happens. I feel like the SPY is really not really going anywhere, but we're still getting some green across the screen here. So we'll see if that can just pretty much just kind of stair step here. I don't expect to see any breakouts on a day like today, especially before the FOMC. I think we're just kind of hanging in there with the overnight action. The area where I'm seeing some leakage is in healthcare. Healthcare really taking a hit in biotechs today. So some names really down in biotechs. So if you're noticing some biotechs taking a hit, well, there you guys see it. A lot of names starting to pull back.
All right, this is where I'd want to see a bounce on Qs. Otherwise, I think the trend could be over here for the morning. Not loving what I'm seeing for bulls here.
VRTX leading downside action. That is getting destroyed today.
VRTX, did you say? Oh, sorry, I'm on my wrong screen.
No, you got it. You got it. VRTX.
VRTX. Yeah, so that's they do the
Earnings.
The pain pill stuff, I believe. The alternates to opiates.
Smoked on earnings.
Oof.
Smoked. I don't have earnings. Was it earnings today?
Yeah, I see earnings miss on both sides yesterday. Close. Yesterday in the PM, they missed on revenue and by 3%, and they missed on EPS by another 4%. So yeah, can't be doing that in this market, right?
Got hit hard for that.
Both sides, like.
All right, keeping an eye here. My toxic trader is wanting to short this. I think it can go higher first. I think it might have unfinished business up above. But so basically what these staggered lines are on my screen are there are different triggers which represent different time frames of support. So this red one here is a 1 minute support. This orange below is 5 minute. This yellow here is 30 minute, and this green here is an hourly. And this is actually weekly, so this is a much more important higher time frame level, which I'd love to see tag again. But if we zoom back to an hourly here, we can see how this is pretty well respected. It popped over, tried to hold, popped again, just fill in these gaps. This was a really nice trade to just long this on these bottom wicks and take it right here. But now we're back under the hourly. So for me, I'm kind of biased to think we pop to the hourly and back test it. It would coincide with the lows of this little middle of the range here. Maybe we overcut a little bit and test this big level, but this is the area that I'd be looking to go short. So I'd like to see another push up there and fill this gap and just get that really clean short entry, just like we did right here. Not sure we get it, but that's kind of what I'm operating on here. But as long as we hold this 1 minute trigger, I can't be bearish. Can't be bearish. But I got to acknowledge the selling that's happening off the 30 minutes. So keeping an eye on how this plays out.
Yeah, I think we're just going to play a range. We'll see what happens. At the market,
that's kind of my bet too.
Yeah. Just play a range here. And then you look at the daily candle. Don't forget that, guys. Just look at the daily candle. It's nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
When I haven't seen a tweet in this Bassett dude in a long time, so he might be done talking. So I might be done with the action, because I think what happened was when we dipped, he was saying bad things, and then he started to say good things, and then we ripped back through it. And I think he's done now. So the market might be like, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow after FOMC.
Yeah.
Would be
After
totally
I-
valid.
After I give you another gap down, so the pullback's already done in the market.
Michael, was that you talking about previously? Not today, but I thought you might have, and maybe it wasn't you, but something about how a lot of the moves recently have been happening pre-FOMC.
Maybe. Yeah, I talk so much, I don't even know what I say
Yeah.
sometimes.
I know it's like, I get it.
I have been noticing that, right? Because it's the only thing that matters at this point. Like, I think everyone's just so done with tariff stuff. It seems like we have all this tariff news and the market just does not care anymore. I think, or it's just purely pricing in that it was one of those things where it's already priced in that there is basically not going to be any tariffs, right? We've got a 90-day hold or on the 10%, and they're talking about deals all the time, and people are now talking about a 180-day hold after this, and blah blah blah. So I think the market's just so done with tariff talks until there is something actually physically signed, or they actually start, because they still haven't started yet. All we care about, all we're caring about is FOMC and whether or not he has the ability to lower rates again or not. So a lot of people are just taking bets, I think, leading up to those.
That makes sense.
All right, guys. It's 10:56. We're almost done here. We'll see what happens if we can continue moving. Of course, tomorrow we'll have on Giles Coughlin. We'll talk a little bit more about the Fed. See what he sees in the Fed action, what he expects moving forward. Don't expect much tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's just going to be kind of quiet out there, but definitely some good action today in certain stocks. And Palantir being still on the fade, right? This one hasn't come back today. So that could be one that is starting to at least give up right now. We'll see if it turns back towards the end of the day. HIMS is one, though, that actually got the push continued on our call. If you should buy it, fade it. Not a bad little move there on HIMS as that continues higher. And we were looking at that right when it was starting to break VWAP. And we talked about, would it get that move back up? It just went right back up. We'll see if it can get back all the way up there to the highs. But not a bad move there, about $3 on the upside. And still kind of holding in on that 9, still trying to push towards 47. We'll see what happens. 15 minutes has a push that could be running into a little bit of some altitude around the 47. Personally, I would be selling through that 47 if I got it at that 43. We'll see what happens there.
Can I recap my trades just real quick?
By all means, man, take the wheel.
Cool. I will go ahead and add this to stage.
Boom.
Should be doing something.
Got you, my
there
friend.
Okay, cool. So pre-market here, this is when I got out of, let me get that out. This is when I got out of my shorts that were swings, just because we were trading into some pre-market low. Where is it? Oh my goodness, I can't handle this. Okay, yeah, we just swept this and I just started getting out. Then I saw basically this candle here made me think, okay, we swept the bottom of the range and there were buyers here and we're coming into cash session. So I just wanted to take a little piece. I went long here. It almost stopped me out here, but it didn't. So then I just took a little win over this sweep and I said, hey, this looks kind of weak. This was luck. I don't know what that tweet was, but somehow I caught this. And then I said, okay, that was lucky. I'm just going to take some off here. And I'm going to look to get long after the sweeps, as long as it shows some signs of buying. So that was the strat. We took some off on the way up, took some off here, took more off here, stopped out a little bit here, got back in just because I was a little bit psycho and just wanted to have some skin in the game. And so now I think I will put my stop under here. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that we have potential for more expansion, but if we fail my minute trigger right here, I'm almost considering just shutting it down, locking in the win. But yeah, that's my trading today.
All
Nice
right.
work.
Any last words, Michael, for the traders out there as we wrap up?
No, again, just remember FOMC tomorrow. There's not going to be any, unless there's a tweet or something that comes out. I don't think there's going to be any big guys making any serious bets for the rest of the day. So make sure you don't. Hopefully, you had a good morning. Don't chop yourself to pieces this afternoon.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, of course, and there will be some earnings tonight to look forward to. Like always, guys, you guys can take a look. We'll kind of recap some of those earnings tonight. I think AMD and SMCI. So keep your eyes on those two. And then another two names to look at that I think we'll talk tomorrow about. I think it's important. Rivian and Tempest AI. Those are going to be also reporting. Upstart, another one that I think is a good one to look into, of course, with lending. But SMCI is going to be definitely on the radar for me. That could be ugly, man. We'll see what happens there. As you guys know how I feel about SMCI. I ain't touching it with a 10-foot pole, but a lot of other traders took that bet. We'll see what happens with super microcomputers. All right, like always, Steve, Justy Chase, catch him on Thursday, of course, on Trader TV and, of course, the webinars. But any switch to that?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. We're on Fridays, 15 minutes after the bell now. I am on Trader
Friday.
TV.
There you go, guys. Get on over there and check out the one he's already done. We have him there on our YouTube. You guys can go ahead and click it. And of course, don't forget on our page itself, on Trade the Pool, we have our VOD section, our Netflix of trading, as we like to call it. And definitely check that out, guys. If you guys haven't checked that out already, I would definitely recommend that to go to, especially like right after this, right? Like this is the perfect time now to go over and continue learning your journey, right? Well, here's the link if you guys want to just click it and get over there. Go watch some videos on our Netflix of trading, of course. And we'll see you guys back tomorrow. Keep battling out there, traders. It ain't easy, but one thing's for certain. We'll be here battling along with you. Hit the like before you get out of here. And like always, man, keep trading out there. We'll try to see what happens with those swing accounts, swing alerts out there. Let's keep it going.